Welcome to the first day of summer 2025. I watched that video I posted last week, and the first thing I thought was, why do I look so weird? And then I realized, my bottom lip. What is going on with that? That's right. All those years ago, I have a scar on my lip. You see, it's misshapen my face all these years, and I didn't even realize it. And my father would say, it gives you character, right? Scars. Scars can shape us in good ways and sometimes not good ways. But our father was a landscaper in the summertime when he was a teacher, and then full time once he retired. And one day he found a little bunny rabbit on the lawn that got scared out of his nest because he was mowing the lawn, didn't see him. And he thought it would be a great idea for us to have a little bunny rabbit for a pet. So he brought it home. The thing was about the size of a toad. And it was so cute and adorable. And maybe you're a dog person or a cat person, and you just like to take your little fella and just scrunch him in, and just give him some hugs and feel his fur, warm fur, and curl up a little bit. Well, this little guy was so tiny. He grew up kind of quickly, but at one point he was still pretty small and crouched down on the floor, just squatting down. And I just felt like I wanted to give him a little love and just stroke his little ears a little bit, and that was fine. And then I just felt like, you know what? I just want to kiss his little head. So I leaned down, and just about the time my chin hit that little furry head, I heard a sound that I had never heard before. It was the sound of sharp little nails shredding my bottom lip in half. So that day I had 3 lips and an absolute pool of blood in my hands. It was all over the place. I remember literally cupping my hands like this over to the sink in the next room because I didn't want to get mom's carpet all messed up. Oh my God. I probably said some bad words that day. I had learned a few. I think at around age 16 is when that happened. Wow. Oh my goodness. Maybe you have a scar, and maybe it's not physical, or it's changed you. Maybe it has, but so many times we say things and they hurt the people that we care most about. And it's very unfortunate. Just realize we're around the people that we love often because we want to be with them. But it also gives the higher chance that something could go wrong and that our unfortunate humanness sometimes comes out and words can come out, and they can be literally like daggers into these people that we care for. It could be our own children who we love and adore and cherish. But if we're not careful sometimes, they can hurt, and they can hurt for a long time. You see, about a year or so ago, my brother shared with me something our father had said to him. And I am absolutely sure that it was at a time where things just weren't going dad's way. And he said something to my brother that was not awesome. As a matter of fact, it hurt real bad. And it was something to do with acting lazy that moment, whenever that was. And I don't remember my brother ever being lazy. And, but that moment that something was said, and it stuck with him for a long time. Just hurts me to think how often that hurt him all those years and the times that we spent with our father, growing our families and enjoying life, celebrations, congratulations, weddings, Christmas, come and go, all these fun times. But still, in the back, there is this little reminder every now and then that comes out. You lazy. Well, depending on our personality and maybe the way that you're wired, just in case you may be suffering from words that someone said to you years ago, I'm going to share this to try to help you to get past that because I know that my brother's personality was, you know, it's just going to make me stronger. And that's what our father did. But not everybody reacts that way. Sometimes people will think, wow, here's a person I look up to and admire. Not thinking it, they do not say it, but it's there in their mind. Maybe I am lazy. And then they go on the rest of their lives acting lazy, creating lazy habits because someone put that mark, that stamp on them and said, you're just a jerk. You're going to wind up in jail someday. You're an idiot. You're so stupid. Has anybody ever said that to you? I know it's been said to me, and it hurts, especially when it comes from someone that we care about. And when it comes from somebody that's a jerk, sometimes we can say, you're a jerk too. Get the hell out of here. And it doesn't bother us. Well, that's good. And maybe not so good. But sometimes if we carry these things around and we allow them to affect us in a bad way, it's really our own fault. And it's really just our human frailty that, we're all human. We have to be careful with what comes out. They literally say the words have power. They can affect the way that people are the rest of their lives. Could just last a day, a moment, could last a year, it could last a lifetime. As a matter of fact, our father, he never spoke much about things in his past that hurt him, but there was just a couple of occasions, and one in particular was this teacher that was, I believe he was like in the fifth grade, and they got up and they were supposed to sing some song, and he started singing and doing his best. So he thought, just think, what are you, 10 years old? Very impressionable when you're fifth grade. And she said to him, oh, sit down. And the whole classroom laughed at my father, this 10-year-old boy. And he carried that around the rest of his life because he told us right up into his 80s and reminded us at certain times when it was appropriate, he would say, oh, yeah, that's like this person that was mean to me. Maybe you can reflect on times in your life when people were mean to you. But something else came to mind as I was thinking about that. My father, out of all the things that he could have chosen to do with his life, decided to become a teacher. So for 25 years, he taught students in the same environment where he apparently had one of the worst scars in his life. And my guess is, and maybe you have responded the same way. Think about it. He stepped up to the batting box and said, you know what? I'm going to be a better teacher. I'm going to knock this one out of the park for those kids and make sure that I am a better, more careful, more thoughtful teacher to my students so they don't have to be scarred and have a classroom laugh at them and walk around with a scar the rest of their lives. Well, you know what? That scar that ended up hurting my father, that actually made him stronger and more thoughtful. He became revered as one of the nicest, most wonderful teachers in the world. His world, I should say. We all have our little world. In the world! No. And it's interesting. His daughter, my sister, also became a teacher. So look what happened. Some thoughtless words that hurt, perhaps for a lifetime, were used like manure, not to just stink, but to be used as fodder to grow a garden, to blossom, to be used for good, raise, even raise up a future generation of teachers. I remember my sister getting Teacher of the Year. Actually, I have a friend of mine that has a daughter that had her as a teacher. She would talk about how wonderful she was. And that was probably because of Dad. All that he poured into us as best he could, as imperfect as he was. And as on occasion happened, thoughtless words came out because we're all human. And just in case you're human and you may have hurt someone in your past, or maybe have done something that you know that you need to go back and find that person that maybe you've hurt, because maybe they're carrying it around and you might be surprised when you go to them and they can't remember a thing about it because it was so long ago. And I actually had that conversation with someone from my past that I still know. And he said, I am so sorry. I said, you would take my lunch and knock it on the ground and step on it as we waited outside the middle school. And he said, I was a real jerk back then. And I said, yeah, you were. And we laughed about it. So just in case you have a situation in your life that you know there's a possibility that that person has matured or grown up, enough time has gone by that you can go back and wash that scar away and have a laugh and just let it go and let it become not something that stinks for tomorrow still, but let it become the manure where it belongs, in the dirt, buried in the past, to grow a better future. I'm sharing all of this just in case.